Hello everybody and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program, where we are getting ready to head over to the moon with the other half of our colony set up here, including the Kerbals. So at this point, we have Jeb, Bill, and Bob in this, and I kind of don't want to have Jeb, Bill, and Bob be the ones that we send. I do think that we should have around 5 Kerbals, so we should probably consider hiring a couple of new ones. We had an engineer and we had a pilot. Okay, so that seems reasonably fine. I want to have 1 pilot. I want to have like 2 scientists and 2 engineers is what I'm thinking for this, because I don't really know what layout we're going to need here. So let's hop into the astronaut complex. We can have up to 12 right now. So we've got Pappas and Valentina. We'll have it be Pappas and Jessely. So we're going to need 1 more engineer. So that would be like Dunvin here. Looks good. And then we would have a pair of scientists, but there's actually only 1 available. Not a gun Kerman. Okay. I wish there were more than 1 applicants here. I think we can re-roll those, though. Let's see. I think there's a way to do that in here. We could create a new one. I'm not sure if they would go in here. We would want level 0. And we wouldn't really care about whether it's male or female. It was defaulted to female. I guess that's fine. All we need is 1 scientist, right? So this would need to be a scientist, and I don't care about the courage and stupidity. That's fine for the moment. We'll just create the Kerbal. Kerbal created, and that was where? Maybe we need to update this. Let's leave the facility and come back in. Okay, 10-end Kerman. Sure, that seems fine. So I just wanted a scientist. So that looks good. We'll hop into the VAB, and we'll get all of those in here. So we want 1 pilot, and we want 2 of the other disciplines. So that'll be absolutely fine. So this is going to be Pappas, Jessely, Dunvin, Notagun, and Tennant, like this. Cool. So that looks fine, and we'll be able to have them do various things on the surface, but we also want them to be able to return in the case of an emergency if necessary. So this will be absolutely fine, but also these are somewhat expendable Kerbals. Don't tell them that. So for now, this is fine. Let's go ahead and put in a decoupler here because we need to do our transfer stage. So this is going to be a TD12 decoupler down here. There we go. And then we're going to need an adapter. And I'm going to have this be a bit of a different adapter. Rather than using the fuel adapters that we used previously, I'd like to have this go... This is going to go to, what, the FL size? Let's see if this is correct. I want this to be up at the Rocamax size. So, yes, that is correct. So this is a 16 at this moment. I'm actually going to have this be a 32. It's maybe a little much, but for now, that'll do. We'll put a poodle in there, and then we're going to have a, let's see here, structural coupling. Here we go. This is what I'm looking for. We need a TD25 decoupler right here, and then we are, of course, going to put a couple of big orange tanks on here. So I want this to be like that, big and orange. Perfect. And then we're going to put a mainsail on this. It's kind of clipping into the ground. It'll be fine. So for now, we're then going to put on a pair of radial decouplers. The question is, how many SRBs are we going to have to put on this thing? And I want these radial decouplers a little higher than this, probably, for cleaner separation. So then we're going to do some thoroughbreds or pollexes. I think we'll go with pollexes. Yep, about like that. And I'd like to move these down. And then I'd like to move these up a bit. We're just going to probably detach these and place them up a little higher. So somewhere around here or so. I want to move up this entire contraption, though. So let's just do something like that. Get ourselves a little bit more space here. Yeah, now we can see what we're doing. So that looks good. Let's just go ahead and move these down ever so slightly. About here is good. Okay. So I'll do a hemispherical fuel tank on top of these as normal. And then, of course, a fuel line going in like this, so we drain from those tanks first. They'll drain very, very fast. So that seems okay. And then a strut connector like this. And then a strut connector like this. Cool. We could also potentially run a strut from here to here, just to solidify that a little bit. Okay, so something along the lines of that. And then the question is, would we need fins? And I suspect the answer to that to be no. It's also a little off-kilter. This isn't exactly a 90-degree angle. That's fine. I don't care. So at this point, we need to look at thrust to weights, right? So these are going to be moved together, and that's 1.65. That's about ideal. So that looks good. And then this is going to be 1.42. Sure. These would need to be merged together, and then up top here, we would merge these together. All of these would pop off simultaneously, and then that would pop off, and then our parachutes. Yep. So this is all returning us back to Kerbal if we decide that that's necessary. In theory, we won't decide that that's necessary. In theory. It probably will be necessary at some point, or we might just abandon the colony at a certain point and head on back because we've done what we've wanted to get done with it. So the real question now is, are we going to have any attitude control issues on ascent? I don't suspect that to be the case at this moment. I think we'll be fine. So let's put this out on the pad for the moment, and we shall see. That's taking a hot minute. There we go. Now we're starting to load in. Cool. Okay, so we'll go into kill rot here and throttle up, and let's just get on out of here. But before we do, I want to make sure, yes, we qualify for all of these. Perfect. So that looks good. Let's get out of here. And let's just put ourselves on surface up for now. We'll move over to orbital prograde fairly soon. I want to kind of stress test this and see how the aerodynamics feel. So I'm going to hard pivot over to prograde, but not yet. We're too low for that right now. Let's get a little bit more speed going here. Okay, we're at an apoapsis height of about 4 kilometers. Now 5. I'm going to do this at 10. So that should be reasonable. And we'll build up a fair amount of speed between now and then. So that's 8 kilometers, 9, and pivoting. This might be spicy. This is spicy. Okay, it's a little too spicy. This was the problem that I said we might have. Right here. So, yeah, that's an easy fix. This was a simulated flight. We did outline that as a potential problem. So that is absolutely fine. This is an easy fix. All I'm going to do is I'm going to put some Delta Deluxe winglets out over here, and that will be a significant help to it. The other thing we can do is just be more cautious, right? That's the other option, is just change our ascent profile a little bit and be less aggressive with that turn. So that is absolutely 110% fine. Now, to be clear, if we had decided to abort that instead of reverting it, we probably could have recovered it all, is my guess. Yeah, we could have. We could have recovered that whole thing. Maybe I should have done that. Oh well, it doesn't really matter either way. So we are going to put this on surface up, and off we go again. With these extra fins in there, that'll give us that extra little bit of control, but I'm not going to hard pivot like that again. I don't necessarily trust that these little fins will deal with the weight that's up here quite that well, so we're going to be a little bit more cautious with it, is the overall idea. So once again, up we go, and once we hit 10 kilometers, we'll start our gravity turn, and I'm going to manually gravity turn this. It's going to be a little bit more gradual than what we had previously. So that's 5 kilometers, 6, 7, 8 kilometers, 9, and we're turning. So you can see we're turning much more gradually this time. And just making sure that it's under control before we move any further. Okay, that's going a little more than I wanted it to. Okay. It's under control. And I want to be in kill rot for right now. Okay, let's just lock to orbital prograde now. So that is much better. The fins, I'm sure, helped, but it was much more that we did it under control. That was the bigger portion of that, for sure. So let's just continue to be locked to prograde for right now. That seems good. And we're going to be ditching these SRBs shortly. 2, 1, and off they go. Nice clean detachment due to the high attachment point there. I like it. That's really more of a thing if you have more than 2, but for now it's okay. So we're still pretty low in the atmosphere, and we're moving relatively quickly. So our apoapsis height is looking pretty good. I'm noticing the plasma build up over here. We're going to punch through this atmosphere, though. It shouldn't be too big of a deal. And we're going to move over to horizontal velocity up about now, actually. And this might cause us some orientation issues, but I'm not expecting serious orientation issues at this point in the flight. Yeah, no issue whatsoever there. So we're just going to be burning purely horizontally at this point. I don't know that we have enough in the tank here. No, we don't have enough in the tank here to get us to orbital velocity, but that's okay. A soup up of the first stage here would be easy to do. We could take it up to quad on the SRBs and then thrust limit the SRBs. So that wouldn't be a big deal. We're 50 kilometers right now. Our apoapsis height is looking good. We're going to be ditching this stage right about... Okay, so now we're up in this stage, and this is absolutely fine. We have more than enough DV to get to where we're going, so that looks excellent. We're going to continue to burn here purely horizontally until we get to an apoapsis height of, I don't know, maybe like 200. You can see our time to apoapsis is increasing, so there's no issue whatsoever in this flight. There's not going to be a problem here. So that sounds... Unless we have a thrust-to-weight issue with this engine over Moon, and that would be problematic. We would prefer not to have that be the case. If that was the case, we could maybe utilize this engine. We can watch this thrust-to-weight number here once we get into the Moon's gravity. So that would be fine, and for now, we're going to extend these solar panels. I'm not going to extend the Gigantors here. I'm going to leave them where they're at. So that'll be fine. And we can see our apoapsis height is at about 150. 160. 170. Just about to our target of 200. 190 and... shut down a little short. There we go. That'll work. So that looks good at the apoapsis here. We're very, very close to being in orbit. We're just going to push this on up and circularize. Oh, hang on. No, never mind. I was like, did that ghosting issue get fixed? No, I can see it here. Unfortunate. I did install a new graphics driver. I was hoping that would do the trick. Sadly, it did not. Okay, so we're going to hop over to not Kilrot. We're going to hop over to the node here. And our turn rate is going to be kind of slow with all of this mass back here. This is a lot of fuel, right? So, like, if we compare that to this, this is like 9 times the amount of fuel in this tank. This isn't shocking news, of course. We could definitely extend our antenna as long as we're out here. And let's make sure that we don't have an obstruction here. Let's have Jessely EVA. Cool. Looks good. So no issue there. Let's just finish up our rotation here. And we'll do that in physics warp to be a little bit faster. Okay, we're overshooting this a bit, but that's fine. Let's just warp on over. And we'll get ourselves into orbit. Eventually. So I'm physics warping here so that we turn this direction. We're going to be a little bit, I think, over-gimbaled is my guess here, but we're a little under-gimbaled right now for the weight that we're carrying with us. We've got 3, 2, 1, 0, mark. And we're a little bit off on our node here. Head to the node, please. Apparently it wasn't going to the node. That's awkward. Okay, well, this is fine. I'm just keeping an eye on our periapsis height here, and we're just looking to push that up to be roughly 200 as well. It doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, so everything is looking pretty okay here. This is good enough. Excellent. So from here, we are, of course, going to head on out to the moon. So we'll set that as our target. 0.1 degree inclination. That's not too bad. Somewhere around here or so, we'll go for a lunar encounter. What do we got? Timing. Okay. So just bring that in somewhere around here. About here. And we'll just bring that down. That is a collision course. Let's have this be somewhere around 20 kilometers. Okay, there we go. That should do. So 771.3 meters per second. This will do the entire transfer. I like it. That is not bad. So let's go ahead and warp to that, and we should actually head to the node first. So physics warp that turn. That looks good. How are we doing on our electric charge anyway? Okay, noted. So that seems absolutely fine for now. We'll warp on over as soon as we're... This is definitely careening. No doubt about that. But it looks like it's under control. Okay. MechJeb knew what it was doing that time. Cool. So that's absolutely fine. We're going to hop over to here. We're 1 minute away at this point from this burn. 40 seconds. 30. 20. 10. And 3, 2, 1, 0. Mark. Off we go. I'm just looking at the gimbal here, and we were initially gimbaling a fair amount. Oh, look at that. We've got Moon and Minmus. That's kind of cool. Everything is kind of in conjunction here. But I was looking at the gimbal here. We were gimbaling quite a bit at the beginning of this burn, but now it seems to be pretty stable. So I don't think we're over gimbaled for the moment. That looks good. What's our overall craft mass right now? Okay. 10,000 kilograms? I guess, is that 10 megagrams? I guess it would be, wouldn't it? Well, we're definitely burning through a lot of this mass right now. That's for sure. Well, this is actually our stage mass. This is our overall mass here. So our overall mass, pretty high still, but we're going to get another 9,000 kilograms burned off of this. So that looks good. Okay, so we've got another 300 meters per second in this burn. Let's just warp through the rest of this. This is about another 30 seconds to burn here. Cool. That's all looking good. We'll have a few hundred meters per second, or actually a little over 100 meters per second for a braking burn once we get there. So that's not bad. An additional 5 meters per second here. We'll just hit this nice and precisely. 3 meters per second. 2. 1. And I'll call this good enough. How do we do? That's an impact trajectory. Of course it is. Okay, so we're going to need to go to orbital retrograde or like anti-target maybe? Let's go to anti-target for now. Okay, so we can see here, yeah, that is definitely an impact trajectory. So we do not want an impact trajectory. We'll have to do a small corrective burn here. So just moving over to anti-target, and let's just burn away from the moon here, very, very gently. This is not going to require much. Okay, that's 35 kilometers. We've actually overshot this a little bit. I'd like to bring it down to 20, although it moved quite a bit when we entered physics warp. That's awkward. Exactly 29,000 in physics warp, but it's going to come back. I don't know why it likes to do this. It does. I wish it didn't do this. But alas, it does. Okay, so we're going to burn very, very gently here. I'm going to thrust limit this guy down to like 0.5% thrust. And we're just going to very cautiously bring this in. So that's 30 kilometers. We're just targeting about 20. 23, 22, 21, and a little more than this. Okay, that'll do. So once we arrive here, of course, we're going to want to add a maneuver and circularize that on up. The question is, do we have enough in this stage for that? The answer is not quite, and that's okay. I don't mind that. So that looks good. We'll just circularize this about like that, and then we'll be in a pretty good position to go for the colony seed, I think. So let's unthrust limit this. We don't want a 52-minute burn. And we're just going to warp on over to this after we align to the node. Our target was cleared, but that's fine. I don't know why it cleared our target, but sure. Okay, so let's get oriented here. And then we'll work on getting lined up for making our way over our actual landing site, which is slightly off equatorial. That's okay. And yeah, this moves around a fair amount when we're warping. So we're just going to warp on over to here. Really? 71 kilometers now? Well, I guess we'll just have to deal with it. We'll see if it's still like that once we exit the warp. This changed a lot when we warped. It's okay. We can adjust it. And the orbit means that things are not so great for us as far as landing over here goes. This is going into darkness. I'd rather it be in light side, so we might have to take a few orbits here. We'll see. Okay, yeah, this burn is no longer accurate. We're going to have to take that out of there, add a maneuver here now. And this is going to need to be... I want to bring this down to have the periapsis be over here. This is going to be about that 20 kilometer marker. Okay, so just some inaccuracies. That's okay. We can deal with it. So let's move our way over to the node here. And I want to check our thrust to weight here. 1.5. It's a little on the low side, but that is understood. We have a KER. We shouldn't have any major issues there. Okay, so we're going to hop our way down here. I'm not concerned about this 0.1 science, so this is fine. And we're going to burn this here in about 50 seconds. Okay, I'm tired of this. We're going to grab this material study so that it stops bothering us with it. We'll keep that experiment, and we're going to collect that up here. We're going to have to remember to reset that after this burn. So... about 3, 2, 1, 0, mark. Okay, burn is commenced. So let's get slowed on down here. We're higher up than we had anticipated, so that is a situation that is not exactly nominal, but it's not the end of the world. Okay, our transfer stage is done. Cool, so the transfer stage is in orbit. And let's move our periapsis down to that 20 kilometer marker. So this is actually good that we're burning some fuel from this stage right now. We're a little overbuilt in this stage, and that's going to bring up our thrust to weight ratio because our weight is going to be going down. You can see this stage is the majority of this weight. So that's absolutely fine that we're burning fuel here right now. That's a good thing. But our thrust to weight being 1.54 means that it's going to be a long landing burn, but we can definitely do it. So that seems absolutely a-okay. Let's bring this on down and get the last, 10 meters per second done here. Sure, this looks good. Yeah, that'll do. So at the periapsis here, we're going to bring this on over and just circularize it about, this or so. That should do the trick. Nice and low. And then we'll see about maybe coming in and landing here. I'm not entirely certain about timing. The main issue, of course, we could land on the dark side. The main issue is life support. How long will it take for this to go all the way around? I don't actually know that offhand. So it might be slightly awkward timing. We might have to get this started on the dark side, which we would definitely not prefer. That said, we have lots of life support right now. So that's not a huge concern at this moment. For now, of course, we just need to get into our parking orbit here, right? So let's just get on down. We'll warp over. And you can see this is not moving very much per orbit. No doubt about that. Well, we'll fall on down to the periapsis here. We're on the dark side now. You can see it's not that dark. So I'm pretty sure that YouTube is fine with this level of darkness. My main concern about landing in the dark is usually if it's too dark for YouTube to be able to see. But luckily, KSP has an ambient light boost, which is helpful when recording that sort of thing. It's just that YouTube compression is absolutely terrible at really, really dark things, and so I try to avoid it where possible. That may not be a thing here. We can see that Pabus was up here, and Pabus is, of course, back, flying this craft. 2, 1, 0, and mark. Okay, so let's get ourselves into our parking orbit. There we go. And burn is nearly complete. This is good enough. Okay, so that looks good. And now, of course, we would warp around over to, like, here. I'm not going to commit to this burn right now, but this would be, actually about here, would be approximately the time we'd want to do, like, an inclination change. And I would probably couple that with a retrograde burn to do something like this. This is going to move by the time we get here. So we're not committing to this right now, but this is approximately the sort of thing we'll do. We'll map that out when we're a little closer. But for now, it's time to put a cut in here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And next episode, we're going to do our landing here and initial steps on our first off-world colony. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and a very special thank you to all of the channel members for making this video possible, including ALS Gamer, Dark Horse, Ethan Feldman, Upper Cumberland Gamers, Nick Smarty, Dimitri H, Punching the Microphone, The Lounge STL, and all the rest. And of course, you. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, you can click the join button down below the video, and as always, I will see you all next time.